Welcome to tutorial number 3 of how to build a to-do app in iOS. This tutorial we carry on from where we left off in the second episode. We'll reuse the code. It's available on GitHub if you need to start from there. And in this episode we're going to cover getting our text that we enter in the add to do note controller, getting it back in our home view controller, so that then in the next episode we can actually start saving the notes. So first off, what we need to do is we need to basically trigger a function on the done button. So when the user presses done, we need a function to be called that does a function, gets the data and passes it back to the other view controller. So let's control click on done and drag into the add view controller create an action called done button. I'm typing pressed, so print done, so we can just make it obvious that we've pressed the done button. And then what we want it to do is once a user presses done, it is for the view controller to disappear and go back so we can see the home view controller. So what we can do now is self, referring to the add view controller, dismiss view controller animated, and bool is it animated, and we can say yeah, let's animate that with true. Then completion, we just want nil. Okay, let's run that with Command R to see just what we've done. Now hopefully we should be able to press the add button in the previous controller. It should display this view controller, and once we press done, it should hide. Let's see what happens. So plus add button, then done. You see we've pressed done and the view controller has been dismissed. So that's worked as we've needed it to. Now what we need to do is we need to get the text from the text field here. So what we can do is we can control drag back into the view controller like previously, and we can create an outlet and we can call it data text field, and without do. Then what we can do is we can get the data from the text field using the following. So let's actually print the data instead of printing done. So let's say data in text field. Then we can use the backward slash and a bracket, set of brackets to print variables into strings. So what we can do here is we can say done button pressed. No, we don't want done button pressed. We want data text field dot text. Now this is an optional, so there might not even be text in this text field. For the purpose of this tutorial, we're just going to force unwrap it. So we're going to say there is always going to be a text. There is always going to be a string in this text field. When we get to the tutorial after next, we're going to get rid of that and check if there's a correct string value in there, and we're going to do it properly basically. But for now we're just going to test that we can get the data from here. So let's use Command R again to run the application in the simulator. So press the add button and type in I love cats. Done. And you can see data and text field I love cats, so that worked fine, which is great. So now the question is, how are we going to get that data back into our home view controller? So it's not really that useful to us printing out here. We want it to be able to be printed in the home view controller so that we can use the data and add it into a to-do. So we can do this via a process called delegation. Now, delegation literally means to hand off to essentially delegate to someone or something else. Say if I didn't want to do the cleaning, I would hire a cleaner. How would I know that she's able to or he's able to clean those? So when we delegate something in programming, we basically just need to be able to know that what we're delegating it to can do the job, and we do that via protocols or interfaces depending on the language, but we're going to do that via a protocol which basically says I can do this, I implement this. So let's create this now. Let's create a new file, new Swift file, and let's call it to do data protocol. Cool. Now let's type in protocol and then to do data protocol brackets. Then let's just create a function here. Well, the kind of layout for function, I've got a slash up there. Let's say func get data, and what we want is we want it to get a string. So let's just call it data string. And that's all we need, because we're basically saying this protocol, to implement this protocol, whatever's implementing it must have the function get data, and it must have string, the data string, as a parameter. So let's go to the home view controller, and up here is where we've got our other delegates. So we've got our view controller, which is our superclass, and these are essentially protocols that we are saying we implement. In the same way, we can add this protocol to the home view controller, so we can do to do data protocol. Now we should get a warning because we haven't implemented the get data method yet. Does not conform to protocol because we haven't got the get data method. So let's go func get data, and let's just say print data, and let's put it here, data string. There we go, the error has gone because we've implemented the method that we needed to. So we need to do one slight other tweak to this view controller. So where we perform sege, we need to basically set the home view controller as the delegate for the sege. So what we're going to do is we're going to say override func prepare for sege, and then we're going to say if sege dot identifier equals add sege, then let view controller or VC sege dot destination view controller, as we're forcing this to the add view controller because it's not good for stuff, but we know that the destination view controller for add sege is the add view controller. Then what we can do is we can say VC dot delegate equals self. And that's all we need to do. And we're getting that error because we haven't put the delegate member in the add view controller yet. So let's do that now. So let's come here and let's add the delegate. So let's go var delegate, and we can say what was the name of the protocol. The protocol is called to do data protocol. Let's put a question mark as it's an optional, and let's just say equals nil to start with. Okay, so I think we are almost there. So now when the done button is pressed, we need to call the get data method that we've been delegated to call. So let's go self dot delegate question mark, which is an optional, get data, and data text field dot text with the exclamation mark to force unwrap it. Okay, and I believe that's everything that we need to do, unless I've forgotten something and it doesn't run. So let's go quickly and comment out the print line in the add view controller, and let's just have the print coming from the home view controller, so we should see the data that it gets passed. Okay, let's do this. If it builds, here we go. Plus cats for the world. And we can see it's printed fine, so we are now passing back data from our add view controller back to our home view controller. And this is a really nice design pattern because, yeah, delegation is just handing stuff over to other pieces. There are other ways you could have implemented this. You could have other, I think, not as nicely designed ways. Like I've seen people in the past do things like set, would have set that as a NS user default or some kind of storage that pass it back then delete it, or kind of push the view controller with the data or other stuff like that. But this is a much nicer way of passing data between view controllers. And in the next episode, we are going to cover correctly checking if the data exists, then doing a bit more of the data and starting to add it into the table. Thanks for watching. Hopefully see you in our next video.